Welcome to the Grassroots Weekend Preview. I'm your host, Alyssa Longmuir. Did you miss anything last week? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Let's start the show with a recap of the AOHL results. The Melbourne Mustangs travelled up the Hume Highway to take on the CBR Brave in a doubleheader weekend. The Mustangs set the tone early on Saturday, scoring within the first minute of the game and then put another away to take a 2-goal lead a little over halfway through the first period. Weeb Darge pulled the CBR Brave back into it, however, scoring a power play goal and another off a penalty shot to tie the game before the first intermission. The Mustangs didn't let up and put 3 on the board in the second period, including a short-handed goal. Weeb scored another to complete his hat-trick in the second period, but that would see the end of the scoring in the game. The CBR bench was missing power forwards Geordie Wadrick and Stephen Blunden, each out with a suspension and an injury respectively. The shortened CBR bench would get even shorter, with Matt Bookus ejected from the game early in the final period for an illegal check to the head. The scoreline didn't change, and the Mustangs took the 5-3 win. Sunday saw the Brave come out firing, taking a 3-goal lead into the first intermission. The Mustangs answered back and tied the game midway through the second period, with 2 power play goals helping their tally. The two teams then exchanged goals, and the score was tied 4-4 after 2 periods and 5-5 at the end of regulation, sending the game to a shootout. Jan Safar was the only shooter to find the net, taking the 6-5 shootout win for the home side. Perth Thunder hit New South Wales for the weekend and kicked things off in Macquarie against the Sydney Ice Dogs. The home side left the visitors in the dust, scoring 3 unanswered goals in the first 2 periods and another in the opening seconds of the third for a 4-0 lead. A double minor to Rory Rawlick gave the Thunder an opportunity to reply, and reply they did, scoring 2 goals off the infraction. Perth tallied another goal halfway through the final period to cut the Ice Dogs' lead down 4-3, but in the final 2 minutes Sydney scored again and took the 5-3 win. On Sunday, the Thunder visited the Hunter Ice Skating Stadium to take on the Newcastle North Stars. The home side appeared to be shaking off some of their championship hangover as they scored 2 short-handed goals and took a 2-goal lead. Perth put their own special teams on the ice and scored a power play goal before the first intermission, making the scoreboard read 2-1. The second period was an arm wrestle with end-to-end play and goaltenders standing tall. Newcastle broke through and took a 3-1 lead with just a minute left before intermission, but Perth topped that play with their own goal with just seconds left, cutting the North Stars' lead down 3-2. Newcastle extended their lead out by another goal early in the third period, but then were hit by their final frame form that has plagued them all season, and the Thunder came back with 2 goals to tie the game and force a shootout. Perth Thunder shootout Ben Briault found the net twice and sealed the 5-4 shootout win for the visitors. In Melbourne on Saturday, the annual Canada Day Classic was held between the Melbourne Ice and the Sydney Bears. Melbourne Ice goaltender Dane Davis returned to the net for the first time since the birth of his daughter. The first period was evenly matched hockey, with no goals nor penalties being added to the scoreboard. Melbourne Ice broke the deadlock in a decisive fashion in the second period, scoring 3 goals in as many minutes, sending the Teddy Bears cascading onto the ice. The Bears would get on the board before the end of the period, but the Ice took a 3-1 lead into the dressing room. Period 3 saw the action heat up, with each team going goal for goal until the last 2 minutes of the game saw the Bears come within 1 of tying the game up. Sydney gambled with an empty net, but the Ice were able to take advantage and seal the win 6-4. Sunday was a very different game, with the Bears opening the score with 2 quick goals. Melbourne Ice answered back with 3 goals of their own, but Sydney scored again before the break to tie the game at 3. Period 2 saw the Bears break the tie to take the lead, but it was short-lived as Melbourne scored 2 goals in 20 seconds and took a 5-4 lead into the final period. The Bears came back to tie the game with 5 minutes remaining, but the home side scored in the final 2 minutes to take the game 6-5. After 11 weeks of competition, the Melbourne Ice returned to first place on the ladder with 31 points. CBR Brave move up to second place with 28 points. Perth Thunder are in third place also with 28 points. And the Melbourne Mustangs enter the top 4 with 22 points. Coming up this weekend, the North Stars head to Macquarie on Saturday to face the Sydney Bears in their den. The Melbourne Ice take their show on the road when they travel to Adelaide for a doubleheader. The Ice Dogs head south to play back-to-back games against the Melbourne Mustangs. Keeping the doubleheader action alive, CBR Brave travel to Perth to take on the Thunder and are rumoured to have an AOHL Calder Cup winning goaltender in tow. The 2017 Women's World Championship of American Football wrapped up last weekend, and Australia was unfortunate in their final game of the tournament, with Finland taking the shutout victory 35-0. The Australian team remained upbeat as their first appearance in the World Championships broke new ground for women's gridiron in Australia. Team USA went on to claim gold in the tournament, with Canada picking up silver and Mexico the bronze, also in their debut appearance in the tournament. That's it for this week's Weekend Preview. Don't forget to connect with us on social media at Grassroots_AU on Twitter, at Grassroots_Sports on Instagram, and at Grassroots Sports on Facebook. Keep up to date with what's happening in emerging sports via our website, www.grassroots-sports.com.au. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Friday for another Grassroots Weekend Preview.